So there was about a month ago, right? I did a video on how I abuse TCGPlayer sales. Well, I didn't say how. I said why you need to. TCGPlayer, twice a year. I'm very clear. Twice a year, 100%. They've done this consistently for years now since they did their subscription plan. They do a subscriber bonus Bucks Day where it's 10% plus back on everything. Or it'll be 10% plus back on sealed and supplies. Both of these sales are super, super, super important. Now, let me explain to you why this is so important here. You can take $10,000 and you're basically spending $8,500 during these sales because it's usually around 15% cash back is what you end up with. By the time you get the store credit, the TCGPlayer subscriber credit, your credit card credit back, it's usually about 15 to 16% is what you make back. In my case, it basically pays for all my taxes, my shipping, everything, and I make another 10% on top of it. So for me, it's like a nice flat 10 to 12% discount. Now, you're saying, well, Richard, but they cap it at $50. Correct. That's why you have to read the fine print. The fine print says $50 per item. Per item. That is very important. Now, you say, well, but per item, what if I get 6 booster boxes? Does that count as one item? No, that counts as one sale. You have a sale of 6 items. This is a very, very, very important delineation or vernacular. I don't know. It's a very important note, right? If you don't notice that, you're going to just assume, oh, I cap at $50 in an order, or I cap at $50 on whatever. I have to order 50 different things in order to... No, it's per item. It doesn't matter if you order 100 of that item, 5 of that item, or 1 of that item. Per item. That is very important. Now, when I do this, I use these sales specifically to go back and correct past Richard's mistakes of not purchasing sealed Pokemon. Usually is what I use it for. I end up picking up between $3,000 and $6,000 of Pokemon sealed on every single one of these sets. I did it for Sword and Shield stuff. I'm doing it on Scarlet and Violet stuff. I will do it on whatever the next block is probably. And that is going to be where I go back and pick up a lot of product that I didn't have or I missed out on or these other things. Now, what is very important is people are notified as sellers. We're notified about this sale usually 1 to 2 weeks in advance, right? So a lot of sellers will start either A, pulling inventory because they know the price surge is going to come from all the buying that's going to happen because people know that there's going to be a dip off in buying followed by a surge in buying, and it's going to end up somewhere in between these 2 points, right? It's going to be higher than where it was once the sales get announced, but it's going to flux a little bit, right? What is interesting is what I do to make sure I maximize this, right? Because again, I'm doing this specifically for Pokemon, picking up crap like this, Vivid Voltage, boom. And I use that to then go pick up cases like that of Scarlet and Violet after the fact. What is this? This is 7? What was 7? I don't know. Whatever. Get over there. And I use these sales to go pick these products up, right? Because like the cost for a Pokemon box is between like $93 and $98, depending on where you're buying it from, how many you're buying, what your account looks like, the discounts they have, the set at the time, blah, blah, all sorts of crap that goes into it, right? Call it like $95 a box. By the time I pay shipping, whatever fees, there's a couple bucks tacked on, yada, yada, yada. You're looking at like $96, $97 a box from distro. Which means if I can go in and spend on a box of Pokemon $110, even $120, I get back 15%. 6% of that goes to sales tax. So I get back about 10%. Which means that $120 box, I get $12 back on. Which means it's now $108. And here's the kicker, right? Pokemon long-term ages ridiculously well. Like you're not gonna lose money buying sealed Pokemon booster boxes. They are too efficient for the space. There's too much demand. It's just too good of a product, right? Like, ETBs are great. Like, there's a whole bunch of room in them. Actually, speaking of ETBs, camera move. There we go. We're back. Things like this, right? Tons of space, literally 3-4 inches wide, 6 inches tall, almost 2 feet long. Takes up half as much space as 2 booster box cases of Pokemon draft boxes. Like, think about that for a minute, right? Fancy expandable packaging. This is like $110 total of stuff. This is actually sold. This is shipped off already by the time this video goes live. So I basically just made 2 free tins on that, but now I have all this space and product that I had to keep and hang on to, and it's just not efficient. So Pokemon booster boxes historically don't do bad. Ever. Find me a Pokemon booster box in the history of the Pokemon game. The entire history. Any box. I don't care how new, how old. If it is 3 years old or older, find me a single box of Pokemon that's under $110 for a booster box. That is 36 packs of Pokemon cards inside of a sealed booster box designed to be shipped to a single individual or broken out amongst friends. Find me and link me a single box that's 3 years old that isn't at least $150. That's counting taxes and shipping. The closest you'll find is probably Sword and Shield era. Battle Styles is probably going to be your closest, followed by Vivid Voltage. I think Vivid Voltage is like 145, but taxes and shipping, 150 plus bucks. Bare minimum. Just the way it is. And that means that even at $108, you make 50% in 3 years. That's dumb. That's dumb. The stock market aims for 10 to 15%. If they hit 10% a year on average, that's awesome. We have completed life. Like, the life goals have been, we have hit life. Historically speaking, 6 to 7% is like your average, like, wrecked years, plus years, downside years, everything else. Like, just throwing money in the stock market, 6, 7% is like, I did average. 10% is what, like, 401k investors are looking at, like your financial advisors. Like, they want 10% a year. That's their goal. And they aim for higher, and they often hit higher. They'll hit 10, 20, sometimes 50%. Every once in a while, they'll hit 20 or 25%. But, you know, 10 to 15% is about that pretty happy margin, right? 50% in 3 years is dumb. Like, it's dumb, and that's a bad box. Like, that's bad. Look at Evolving Skies. That mofo's up like 900%. $700, $800 a box. I sold a case of it for $4,200. Like, just think about that. Your cost basis would be $660 if you buy it on the sale. Buy the damn boxes. It's like, that's what you do. So these sales are super important, right? You need to abuse these, and the way I do it is I'll go in the morning of, I know when the sale day is. I'll have the money set aside on my card ready to be paid off. I'll go in. I know, okay, I'm going to spend $4,000 on this sale at a bare minimum. I want at least $600 to $700 in store credit back so I can go buy another case of booster boxes that I'm missing, basically for free. And what I do is I specifically go in and I find sellers that are selling multiples of a box greater than 6. I don't buy the cases because here's the thing. A Pokemon case is super awesome if you have it. But at the end of the day, people do not care. They want a box of Pokemon. They'll pay for it. If it's in a premium, if it's in a case, you might get a premium depending on the set. But generally speaking, like, a box of Pokemon is worth a box of Pokemon is what it's worth, whether it's in a case or whether you have 10 cases or 5 cases or 5 boxes or 50 cases. It doesn't matter. It's worth a box. If it's $700 a box, it's $700 a box. You're going to get that. That's just the way it is. If you do that and you go into these sellers, people like me that are selling these things, we all have the same goal in mind, which is to make as much money as possible. And it turns out that a case of Pokemon is a very efficient way to ship 6 boxes of Pokemon. So what I do is I go in, and again, this is taking advantage of that per item note in that sale line. I go find sellers that have multiple boxes of 6 or more, and I order from them directly because I don't care, because I'm not mass opening Pokemon. I'm not trying to force true averages here. Like, I don't care. I want the boxes to sit on as a sealed investment. These boxes then most of the time come as sealed cases, and they know just as well as I do that the way TCGPlayer works is that it behooves them to have these big sales. So the single boxes tend to be priced a little bit more aggressively during that sale window, and you can go in and snipe some for some really great prices. So what I'll do is I'll preload my shopping cart with these things with people that specifically have cases, and right when I get that sales email to go live, I'll go in, hit buy, lock it in. I'll get an email notification saying congratulations on your sales or your purchases, and all of a sudden I've made about $600 to $700 in store credit and cashback rewards, and it is an awesome time. And the other important thing with this too, right, is do this with a TCGPlayer subscription, right? It costs like, I think they raised it to like $9 a month. The caveat with that one is it's not for everyone, right? Like, if you're not spending thousands of dollars on these sales, don't bother with this part, right? Like, just get the 10%, enjoy it. Don't worry about eating up $120 a year-ish in subscriber fees to that. I'm okay doing that because, like, that extra 3% for me actually matters. So for me, the first sale that I do, I pay for most of my year's subscription because that extra 3% is actually a big deal. The second sale is usually when I get all my profit from my subscription and I get to eke out that extra 3%. For me, it's worth it. I spend a lot more money than most people do, so it might not be worth it for you. What you might want to consider doing is getting like a group of friends together. Again, I've talked about this in previous videos. Sometimes if buying alone doesn't work, get 8 of you or 6 of you or 3 of you together, and now your buying power goes from $200 to $1,000. And now you can start talking some bigger numbers and some nice numbers here. And it behooves you to do this because it helps you cost dollar average things, and it lets you go back and pick up stuff that is very cheap or shouldn't be that cheap. I kind of alluded to it in an opening video, probably around when this goes out. In the next TCGPlayer sale, depending on how box prices are, I'm specifically going to be looking at Ultimate Masters and Modern Horizons 1 as a potential pickup during this sale as well. I will also be picking up about $3,000-$4,000 of Pokemon booster boxes that I didn't have previously, that I don't have 5 cases of, and other random assorted things that I'm missing and need. And, you know, that's how I'm going to level out and build out what I was missing from the Scarlet and Violet stuff. I think I'm missing like 60, I think it's like 10 or 11 cases worth of product still. That I need to average out like my 5 cases for everything. So I might actually buy Twilight Masquerade now just to kind of get it out of the way before it goes up anymore, because I don't think I need like one more case of that. But that's kind of like the world that we're in though right now, right? Like this is what we've entered into, and these things like this become distractions, and people kind of forget about the good stuff. But yeah, that's like kind of like how you're supposed to abuse the TCGPlayer sales, right? Cases are a bait. Big, huge ticket items, total bait. Because again, you cap out at $50 per item, which means if that item is over $500, rip, you're maxing out on the fee counties, right? You don't get any more money back. You're capped out at 50. It sucks. It's a big old dookie mode. Now, the downside of this is you can't pick up stuff like Weiss cases. Weiss cases, big bummer. And a lot of the sellers that are on there that have like 28, 38, 48 boxes listed, not always sealed cases, and generally speaking, it's loose boxes that are dead. You'll get lucky doing that once in a while, but generally speaking, you don't. And I have picked up Weiss cases before on these sales, and I just enjoyed getting the $50 back on it. I picked up, is it wrong to pick up some Girls in a Dungeon cases for like, you pay like $800 a pop plus $50 back on them, so $750 a case. They're floating like $1,200 a case now, I think, again. But I mean, these are kind of like it's like just basically a big game of math you have to do, right? So like look for those high volume items from one seller so you can maximize your per item count out. And that is literally what I do. I go in the morning, I find out I look and see, okay, who has 6, 10, 12, 15 booster boxes listed, and I don't go one page deep. I go 3, 4, and 5 pages deep until like the price disparity from the low and the high gets like massive. There is a point where like it doesn't make sense anymore, but you have to literally sit down and crunch some numbers with the calculator and then figure out where your mark is. And every once in a while you can even find someone that has like boxes listed like they'll be like $129.99. The low is like $110, but their $129.99 is because of a $20 shipping charge. But they're like 4 pages down and they have 12 boxes listed. Newsflash, you only pay shipping once, which means if you order 20 boxes, you get a $20 discount on the other 19. So you're basically only paying $1 per shipping in boxes. So now all of a sudden you have the cheapest price in the entire market because they have things mislisted or they're listed too much. And those are the things you have to look for to really, truly take advantage of those sales. And it's how I make bananas amount of money on those sales. And I have some of my Scarlet and Violet stuff, I actually have cost bases down into like the 80s, like the low 80s, which is amazing. So, you know, that's how you really like murk on those sales and you make big money, because that's what you need to do. You have to hit those sales. You have to hit them hard, save up your money. It's honestly worth it if you can save up your money for 4 or 5 months and then just dump everything at once and then just spend time opening up throughout the next 3 or 4 months till the next sale rolls around. That's like the best way to do it, guys. But yeah, that's kind of the game you play. Look for the boxes, find the high volume single sellers, a lot of stuff, pick and choose, do some math, juggle around. And the important thing is keep that per item cost below the $50 limit of 15% cashback. Basically, if the item is over, if it's over $340, you max out the fee at $50 basically. And you don't get any, like it, you start losing money on the potential upside. So that's kind of why cases are inefficient. But the $350 is kind of like where your cutoff point is. Like you don't really get any additional gain. And Pokemon cases are $600-700. So basically you're losing out on $50 to $60 in additional cashback rewards. So you can kind of see how this, like, how you really start gaining this momentum and gaining a lot of money off of taking advantage of these sales. But yeah, it generated a lot of questions and stuff when I did that video, why people have to do this. And I still stand by that statement. Like, you need to abuse those sales. They're there for a reason. TCGPlayer makes absurd amounts of money on sellers for their fees and stuff. They make absurd amounts of money, even with people like me doing what I'm doing. And they probably lose money off of my account in particular because of how efficient I am with this. However, I don't matter because they have millions of people that are buying from them constantly that don't do what I'm doing. So like, it's not a losing game for them. That's why they keep doing these sales, is because overall they make way more money than they lose. So it's just a game of efficiency basically. And I don't mind showing you guys and telling you guys how I do it, because I'm still going to do it the same exact way. The next sale rolls around, I'm going to tell you guys exactly why I did it, how much I did, what I purchased, and my cost basis is going to be amazing. And I'm very excited. I'm super looking forward to the next one. I'm probably going to see if I can set aside, like, if I can eke out like 8 to 10 grand to just like kill Scarlet and Violet so I just have no backlog anymore, that would be like chef's kiss. I'd be so happy with that. But yeah, guys, stay thirsty, keep grinding, keep liking and subscribing the videos, share them. We're so close to 1,000 subs. Remember, when we hit 1,000 subs, guys, we're doing a big giveaway. I'm going to give away like random graded slabs I have some loose packs we're going to give away. I'll probably do like a random box break, give away 36 loose packs to people. Just open them, send them to people. They can have them mailed directly. I don't really care. I'm basically going to kind of cap my own L at like $400 or $500 in shipping. But, you know, I mean, that's a lot of stuff to ship out to people. So, you know, it'll be a good time. And, you know, guys, I'm super excited for it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that join button, because that makes me money and I can give away some shirts and stuff soon. Maybe I'll get a lint hair remover or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, guys, talk to you guys soon. Bye.